Hey guys, it's me. Day 3, video 3. Sorry that I'm starting it this way. Look, I've been rolling for the last couple hours. Have you seen this video? This shit is freaking awesome. That's awesome. Oh shit. I love it. I love it. Hey guys, again, man, thank you so much for all the responses, and those of you that are following, I really appreciate it. If you know anybody that could benefit from this, that would definitely stand against something from this, EMT, first responder, firefighter, even just a civilian, please share, invite them to come along on this journey. Something I want to talk about real quick is I've been messaged privately and also in person by people that have complimented me as far as being very caring and compassionate. I guess they see that there's a lot of heartfelt emotion in it, and there is, and there's a reason for that. It's not something that I learned. I didn't learn to be, or I wasn't this way, I should say, all my life. I was a pretty big piece of crap for the longest time. And I go back to Androcles. There's a tale of Androcles, as a runaway slave that ran into a lion's den one time, and he got scared. He saw the lion laying there, and the lion was all vicious, whatever, and then he decided to run off. But as he ran off, the lion didn't give chase. He kind of turned back and saw the lion and went back towards the lion, and then the lion put out his paw, and he saw that there was a swelling and whatnot. There was a big thorn in the lion's paw, and then he removed the thorn from the lion, and the lion was able to lick his paw, and he embraced him, and they became good friends. And down the line, they were both captured, and the king, for his enjoyment, I guess back in the day that was a thing, they were put in a lion's den together, and Androcles was out there, and then they released the lion to fight the lion, whatever. The lion recognized him and fawned over him, hugged him, all that good stuff. Anyway, so my point to that is, for me being the way I am today, several people in my life came into my den, and rather than flee, they removed the thorn from my paw. And I believe wholeheartedly that where mercy is shown, mercy is given. And for me, that's happened several times in my life, specifically with family. I have three sets of families, believe it or not. I have 3 moms. I have one real mom, and then I have a foster mom, because I was in a foster home, and then I have an adopted mom, and then I have my real father, my adopted father, and my foster father. Each of them were very pivotal in my life, and at each time in my life, where I needed that, they removed that thorn from my paw. And I'm very protective of them, believe it or not. I'm very, very protective of my family. A lot of times you won't hear me say very much, especially on social media. I'm very private about what goes on in my life. I don't put too much out there. I think the most I put, was when Jessica passed away from cancer. It was really the most that I'd put out there. But that's where that came from, as far as me learning to be that kind of a person. It's because I was shown a lot of mercy in my day. I was a very angry person, and I blamed a lot of what I went, or what I lived. I blamed a lot of what I did in my life on the world and everyone around me, and even in EMS. I transitioned into EMS. My brother, Corey Martin, and his family, when I was going through that time, again, I was essentially homeless, had nowhere to go. Corey, who's also a paramedic, first responder, didn't question anything, he took me off the streets, presented me to his mom and dad, which is stepfather Robert, and he said, hey, guess what? This is my brother. He needs help. Can we help him? They didn't ask questions. They didn't do anything. They took me in. They didn't try to change me. They embraced me. They removed that thorn. They loved me. They accepted me in as one of the family, and I'm very grateful to them. Same thing with my foster mother. When I was going through a rough time as a child, I ended up in a foster home, and Janie and her now ex-husband David, they took me in, and they were very, very influential in my life, you know. So that's where a lot of where my compassion was learned. Of course, I forgot about a lot of that as I got older because I played the victim in a lot of what I did. And then that carried over into me being an arrogant prick in EMS. Some of you all go far back enough with me in EMS to know that. I was a piece of shit to a lot of the people that I worked with earlier on in my career. And actually, I think up until probably 2010, when I really started to recognize that, you know, I was more of the problem than anyone else around me. I kept blaming them for things going wrong. Say this though, man, you know that I learned to be a team player, and I learned to be more compassionate and more accepting of help. When I recognized that people essentially were not trying to screw me over, they were trying to be helpful and be a part of a team. So one thing I enjoyed about my career in EMS is team, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Team. There is nothing else I've experienced in this world that comes close to what I've experienced as far as being a team and a brotherhood as I have in EMS. You know, and every year that I was in it, man, I grew more and more as far as learning about myself, also again hiding who I truly was. But you know, when you work on a box, man, when it hits the fan on a box. Incidentally, I've been watching these videos and I realize that I've got a real bad potty mouth, and my mom watches some of these videos, so I believe all my moms do. So moms, dads, I'm going to try and clean it up and be more respectful. I know y'all would appreciate that. But being a part of a team, it's a big thing to me. And when you're on a box, man, and things hit the fan, it's you and your partner. It's you and your partner. You may have fire on scene, you may have SO or PD on scene to help you with the initial onslaught of things and trying to control things. But when it all is said and done and you're in the back of that box, it's you and your partner. And there's this team thing that goes on there, man. And that's a true brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever you want to call it. It's family. Of course, you know, there's been times when I've been a real piece of shit to my partners. Well, I've been real condescending, even before I was a paramedic. You know, I think one of my friends, Zeke Samaripa, can testify to that. Hey, Peaches, I saw that I was I was just a real controlling, condescending prick, you know, and there was no need for that. There was no need for that. There's no need for me to be that way. Certainly later on in my career when I became a paramedic too, you know, I got that paragod complex. You know, my head got bigger than everything else, and I thought I was the shit, you know, and I acted like it. But you know, when that thorn got removed by my partners, and I realized that they were there to help and they were truly a part of that team, when I realized what team truly meant, I started to value them even more and value what it was I was involved in. And it's amazing, you know, it's amazing when you're in that box, you're fighting for somebody's life, you're fighting to save somebody's life, man. It's you and your partner, you're both breathing hard, you're both scared, you know, 3 in the morning, when you've got a rollover, somebody's ejected, there's one person dead, you can't do anything for them, and you've got another one holding on to life, you know, and you and your partner are doing whatever you can to get things going. Most of my career, most of my partners were either basics and intermediates, and that's the sucky thing that I think I've never agreed with that. I've never agreed with having junior partners. I think everyone should be trained up the same way, even if you get just advanced skills. You know, I'll explain that eventually, but the quick gist of it is, if my basic partner had enough training and I was confident in their skills, I would. Hold on a second, sorry. I was confident in their skills. I would let them. Start IVs, you know, and help push drugs and do things. You may disagree with that, but I really don't care. You know, we had an objective, we met the objective, we adapt, we overcome, and I was privileged enough to work with several EMTs, but 2 in particular that definitely made me the paramedic that I am. I'm the world's most okayest paramedic, believe it or not. I'm not tooting my horn, I am okay. I think I've mentioned before that I probably know enough now to be dangerous, not in a good way. I'm doing my best to forget a lot about stuff in medicine, and I only certify at the bare minimum right now, guys, because I have no intention of continuing my career and going further. I'd rather just, you know, put in the next 4 years. Once my certification's done, let it go. That's what I'm considering. But in that family environment, working with my partners and going through things, we cried together when we couldn't save anybody. We walked into that emergency room and we got our asses handed to us by nurses and doctors who have no fucking clue what the hell we had to deal with to even get the patient there. I'm sure many of you medics and EMTs have dealt with that. I mean, when you literally have a condescending prick, 30-year-old fucking doctor, there goes the language, who bashes everything you did and has all kinds of, he's got many people at his disposal. He's got respiratory, he's got x-ray, he's got lab, he's got a whole bunch of nurses to pump chest, do things, start IVs, draw blood, and they just bark out orders. And nurses as well, looking down at you over their nose. And, it's usually, old bitter nurses, guys and girls that, think that their shit don't stink, to look down on you. Hey, whatever, But it was pretty badass. We fought hard to save lives. We fought really, really hard. And you grow. After the calls, you're cleaning up the mess. Your partner goes out there, your junior partner goes out there and starts cleaning up the mess that you made, that they were, helping out. And it's pretty cool, because, when you're done, you get back there, you have the chance to take a breath. And back then I was a really heavy smoker, so, you smoke a cigarette, try and breathe. And then you have the holy crap, what did we just get into moment. And then you breathe and you kind of do the whole under your breath, like, are you okay? Yeah, are you okay? Cool, whatever. And then let's go to McDonald's, because I'm loving it, and you eat like shit and you sleep like shit and you get ready for the next one. But there were many of those that I had where my partner and I were just partners, and I had to fight through some really crazy things to keep people alive, or just to get them alive, or keep them alive long enough to get them to the hospital. And I value that, I've worked with single moms, and that's a big thing for me, because my mother was a single mom, and being raised by a single mom, I truly know, I have seen what it is single moms go through. I remember my mom growing up, when she'd sit in the bathroom kind of crying away from us because things were overwhelming. I remember hearing her do that. I remember my mom feeding us green beans and scrambled eggs for dinner, which is why I fucking hate green beans to this day, but I still love eggs, Mom. But it was an amazing thing, working with single moms, and I watched them. They do the same thing. They had the same worries. They didn't get to see their kids. They didn't always have a baby daddy there to help out, and they'd struggle. And we'd finish a call, we'd haul butt over to wherever their kids were, with a babysitter or their house, and the babysitter's there, or grandma or somebody was watching them, just so they could spend some time with their kids. And I witnessed that, and I never had an issue with that, because I know what that was like. I remember that. Going back to this team thing, you cry together, you argue together, you disagree. If you have not argued with your partner and you've not wanted to whoop their butt or have them want to whoop yours, then you haven't had a really good time, I would say. Two partners I know for a fact, Porky, if you're watching, and Chris Stolick, two of my best partners ever. We have definitely had our fair share of arguments, when I'm sure if they wanted to beat me, they were like that close to doing it, and I'm glad that they didn't. But we've had that. It's amazing when you're hauling butt to a call and you've had no sleep, you're tired, your ass stinks, you haven't brushed your teeth, you haven't really eaten, you got a soda pop in your mouth, in your cup, and you're drinking soda pop on the way over there, and you're exhausted and you're pissed off. It's another call, and then you and your partner are just talking shit back and forth, and it starts kind of like and then it gets more intense, and then you're really like looking like I'm gonna and then your partner thinks you're gonna punch him, and you think he's gonna punch you, and then you get on scene and you put on that face and you get in there and you deal with a clusterfuck, and then it was the clusterfucks that saved us, I would say. It was the clusterfucks that saved us. This video might run a little longer than normal, guys, but there's a reason for that. So you get through with that call, and you like, holy crap, what did we get through? What did we just get into? You do your best. You hope that you were able to make a difference and save a life, and you get to the hospital, and afterwards you grab a cigarette, they grab a cigarette, and you have a smoke together, and you're like, hey, I'm sorry, and you hug it out, and that's cool. I miss that. There are two people on that truck the majority of the time, and if you're the paramedic, you're the highest certified, you're in charge. But in my eyes, I'm not the most important person on that truck or even on that call, even if there's a patient involved. The most important person to me is my partner, especially my junior partner. They're the ones that are going to save my ass. You know, all paramedics are EMTs, but not all EMTs are paramedics. But in my eyes, everything starts at the basic level. All life-saving skills start at the basic level. And it's the basics that save paramedics. You know, paramedics may save lives, but basics save paramedics. And yeah, they're the most important person to me on that truck. They're the ones that are going to drive. They're giving me an ETA to the hospital. They just pumped chest. They just did all kinds of stuff. Helped me load a patient in the back of the ambulance, throw bags in the box wherever they could, slam doors, get in, and then they've got to figure out the route we're going to take to get to the hospital. And then they've got to give me an ETA so I could call in and have enough time to get a report into the nurses or the doctors, let them know what we're coming in with. And it's because of them that I was who I was. And I, if you're a paramedic and you don't give your junior partner the credit they deserve, you should probably rethink your approach on things, because again, to me, they'll always be the most important person on that truck. I couldn't do anything without my basic or my intermediate. And they're badass. And I had two that I'm still to this day, Chris and Porky, that just amazed me. I could trust them with everything. I didn't have to ask. Those guys always knew what I was thinking. They always knew what I wanted to do, what I was going to do, and they were like, here, got you, here, got you, here, boom, got you. We're this far away, boom, boom, boom. And, it's badass. I am successful because of my partners, and it's a brotherhood. What you see, what goes on that truck, the tears, the anger, the loneliness, the depression, the sadness, those conversations, they're amazing, absolutely amazing. And I appreciate every single one of my partners. And I hope that I made you a better person too. I hope you take, even when I was a piece of shit to you, I hope you take that and grow and become a better person in anything that you're doing now, especially if you're in EMS. So that's my story today, guys. Humility, love, understanding. And again, for me, I've learned, man, where mercy is shown, mercy is given. And many, many people have been merciful to me, have shown me mercy without expecting anything in return. So to all of you, thank you. God bless.